welcome to Being Black and Craft, where we don't apologize for recognizing our influence on craft beer. This is Angie, the Undeniable Vixen, your host, and we have a great guest tonight. And just want to go ahead and just jump right into it, and let's do some news. So today is MLK Day. Martin Luther King Jr., and wanted to give a quote. I am convinced that we are to get on the right side of the world revolution. We as a nation must undergo a radical revolution of values. We must rapidly begin the shift from thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. When machines and computers and profit motives and property rights are considered more important than people, the giant triplets of racism, extreme materialism, and militarism are incapable of being conquered. Oh, got choked. And that was from the speech Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence speech in April 4th, 1967. Usually, excuse me, usually people take this day as a day of rest or a day of service. And I hope that you were able to enjoy your MLK Day. It's been I think this has probably been the second or third year that I've been able to enjoy it. We're having the day off. My actual job recognizes it as a day that I don't have to take my actual vacation. It is a federal holiday. So that's great. So next thing is, as I was scrolling through Instagram, mind my business, loving Jesus like I do, I saw Oak Park Brewing has a new beer that they're launching tonight. So our brewers will be at Paramount section 116, 117 at Sacramento Kings Golden One Center. And so they're having a MLK basketball game, and they made this particular beer, King's Legacy, that's special release. So if you're at the game or if you're in Sacramento, you might be able to go to Oak Park Brewing and get it. I don't know why I'm gotten choked today. Then next, Black Beer delegates, we had our bottle share on yesterday. It is freezing cold here in Dallas. But of course, you have to have a perfect picture. So half of us are in coats and half of us are not. But shout out to On Rotation Brewing Kitchen. I really love it when we are able to go to a brewery that has food so we can sip and eat and fellowship. And we will be going next month to Celestial Beer Works. One of the beers that I got to taste, I think I actually mentioned it on the show. This is from Vine Street Brewing, and this is Harry Armstrong. So Harry Armstrong was a legendary Triple Crown boxing champ, and he is historic for Kansas City, Missouri. And this was a nice light Pilsner, 5.6, real easy drinking. But again, another part of our history that we didn't know about, because I did not know that this person existed. So shout out to Vine Street and the Henry Armstrong beer. And if you know, you know, Black Man Brewing, he came with goodies. We had a lot of celebrities in during a bottle share. We had a visit from Black Man Brewing, as well as 17% Drip showed up to give us some great goodies. But this is something that I got. Smoking Lit is one of my favorite beers. It is a smoked wheat beer. Absolutely delicious. And I just wanted to show my things that I got, but it also reminded me that Barrett is doing a special series. So He said, join me for a listening session with music and beer from the cellar. I'll be pulling a beer from the cellar for tasting notes and review once a month, called Session Saturday. So it's about being intentional and consumption while allocating time for gratitude. If you'd like to join me, message him, DM him on Black Man Brewing. And this is going to be exclusive for sponsors and for a source of encouragement. And they're going to have a monthly member gift box. So if you do it single subscribers, it's going to be $55, and then you can do it. If you want to do it quarterly, it's $130. And the beers released this year are aged wild creations from my travels, and I've held back older vintage for comparison to the new releases. If you know anything about Barrett, he is phenomenal at making different yeast sources, wild yeast, and he's been all over. Uh, Truly a nomad as far as the beer world, and able to create these different yeast strains and keep them to make some amazing saisons. I remember the cereal series that he did when he was in Brazil. So if you are in the DFW area, also he makes his trips back to Arkansas as well. I'm sure, might be able to do a shipping situation, but DM him for sure, and he can tell you more details. Then last but not least, I think, one thing I mentioned in the outro about Black History Month and Moore's Brewing. Moore's Brewing in Chicago, which I'll be traveling next month. We outside, basically. Join us as we partner with our favorite stores to celebrate Black History Month with good vibes and exclusive Moore's beer sampling experiences. So they're doing tap takeovers at Mariano's, Benny's, Jewel, and Whole Foods all throughout Chicago. And this is going to be pretty much for most of that month. So I'm excited because I know me and Hannah are going to be in Chicago, and we're going to check out one of those locations while we're there. So that's all I got for news. Okay, let me go ahead and invite my guest.
Hi, Angie.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. I'm sorry. I called you. I called you by your government. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. No, I go by
Okay.
all of it. It's all of
Okay.
it. All of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes. I love Jessica SmithBrown Travel. Signature Travel. It
Yes.
is.
I didn't want to put the whole thing there, but
Yes.
yes.
So this has been a labor of love, getting this together. So before we go and talk about travel and drinking, let's talk a little bit about how you got to SmithBrown Signature Travel. So how did you start when you decided that you got the travel bug?
The travel bug. I actually caught the travel bug when I was about 8, when my mom and my aunt, who you met, my Aunt Stephanie, took me and my brother and sister to Disney World for our first plane ride vacation. They saved up for months, and we got on an airplane and we went down to Orlando, and we just had a blast. And I traveled, road trips with my parents, and but I think like the first time I got the actual bug as an adult was my friend was turning 30, and we went to Jamaica for the first time, and I got bit in Jamaica. I love the people. I love the atmosphere. I love the food. I love everything about Jamaica. The rum, like everything. But I think that was bitten by the travel bug then. And so I did still travel some then, but it was mostly Caribbean travel, which I still love. I'll never stop going to the Caribbean. But during lockdown, as you know, on Clubhouse. Clubhouse popped off. I think everyone should know about Clubhouse here. But the app popped off, and I found myself in the travel rooms. There were so many travel advisors you can say travel agents, but it's the industry has moved more towards advisors now. But I talked to so many who were out of work um, because they
Mm.
work for themselves, and no one could travel during COVID. You know, it
Oh,
was
wow.
unsafe and no one was doing anything. And so they were on Clubhouse connecting with each other, sharing knowledge and inspiring people to travel when we could again. And none of them were bitter. You know, they didn't have money. They couldn't leave their houses. None of us could, but none of them were bitter. And I met this woman named Nadesh, and she does luxury travel. She does luxury um, travel with whiskey. And
Ooh,
so, yes, so she's very niched down. Her company is Whiskey Her Away. And so she
okay.
does, yeah, group travel, luxury group travel, Scotland, you know, whiskey, you know, just spirits, but whiskey is her specialty. And so she took me under her wing and she told me kind of what I needed to do. She said, I don't have time to really like teach you, but I can show you where to go. She showed me where to go. I got on with this host agency, Gifted Travel Network, and I took a year-long course on how to sell travel, how to build a business, and pretty much here we are. That was in October of 2022, and yeah, so now here we are, almost 3 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because I didn't think, I guess because we're so far removed,
Hmm.
thinking about how the people that were in the industry, as far as like travel advisors, how they were just like, this was it. There
Oh,
was nothing going on.
it was nothing going on, you know. And what was really horrible about it, Angie, was that they a lot of the a lot of their commission was not secure. And so they people were canceling left and right and they weren't getting any commission, they weren't making any money. And so they had to appeal to the United States Congress to give them benefits because they're all 1099 independent
Mm-hmm.
contractors, right? And so they had to appeal, and they have an organization called ASTA. It's the American Society of Travel Advisors. And they went to Capitol Hill and they lobbied, you know, to get payment for these people because they're all self-employed. It may be a one-person business, or travel agency could be 1,000-person business, you know, but nobody was making any money. And so, yeah, they had to go to the government to get some help.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So 3 years later, then you decided that this would be a great transition for business,
Yeah.
because people are, we want to be outside. We outside now.
I heard you gonna be outside. We outside, Angie.
Yes. Yes. So, so how is it when you're curating your, I guess your portfolio?
Mhm.
Is it, are you going to places, hey, I'm gonna go to this place just to see how it is. This is not my jam, but somebody might be interested. Do you find that you have to do some that you will have to do some of that, or you've done some of that?
Oh, yeah. I've definitely done some of that, but, you know, I can find interest in almost anything. It's so funny, I had to do like a personality test recently, and it said that I enjoy everything, even the boring things, which is so funny. But I can find enjoyment in just about anything. And when I'm traveling, it's not boring to me, you know, but I have to do site visits. They aren't my favorite, where you go and visit hotels, you know, but you're rushed along a lot of times. You don't have time to like chill and like stroll and kind of notice like everything,
Mhm.
especially when you're traveling and working while you're traveling. You may have 5 to 8 site visits in a day, depending on, you know, where you are. So I sometimes don't like to be rushed, but other than that, there's no place that I, you know, have been that I wasn't interested in going. Not yet.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you talk about, so when you started talking about hotels, it made me think about
Hmm.
this. I think I was looking at probably Facebook or something. Is there something that me or the audience as a typical traveler should look for um, when we're going to a hotel? Some things that would be good to kind of keep in our back pockets.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, reviews. Look at the reviews. TripAdvisor is okay, but for reviews, I actually like booking.com better, because you have to be an actual person. You have to have stayed, at these places that you're reviewing. They do just a little more, I guess, they ask you more questions or something like that. Not just anybody can review it. And so you get a better understanding of things. Well, I consider myself a luxury travel advisor. And while I work with budgets, all types of budgets, luxury is my favorite because a lot of times we, Black people, don't treat ourselves. Um, and when you're going to these places like these festivals and things like that, you're just like kind of looking for somewhere to lay your head. But why shouldn't it be somewhere like luxurious if you can make it a whole thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, I read the reviews. I think the reviews are great, especially on booking.com. And I would not stay in a hotel lower than a 3.5 star. I would say
Okay.
that absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Look at your
I
bed, look at the beds, look at how they keep the bathrooms clean. You know what I mean? Things like that. So
mhm.
that's what I look at.
Was looking at this one lady. She was on a cruise,
Hmm.
and the things that she did, like put the hangers by the door. She had a little stopper.
Oh
She
yeah,
put tape thing. I was like, and
safety.
everybody was like, everything she did was like, oh, if you got to do all that, you might as well stay home. She did.
Yeah. Some people are just really crazy about safety. I've never really stayed in a place where I felt unsafe. And I travel a lot by myself, but I don't, I haven't stayed in a place like that at all, really.
Mhm.
I know that a lot of travel, or like flight attendants, I've seen a bunch of their TikToks and stuff or how they stay safe. I'm a big girl, Angie. I'm not really worried about a lot of the things that maybe some other women are worried about,
Mhm.
which is valid, for them, right? Like
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
taking anything away from them, but, so whatever you need to do to keep yourself safe. One of my friends did gift me a door stopper with an alarm. And so
Yes.
I do take that with me. And, again, I've never stayed any place that I didn't feel safe, but it's just that extra level of comfort
Mhm.
that you have.
Yeah, that's
So,
that extra level of comfort is really good, and I think that door stopper with the alarm is a pretty good thing to
yeah,
have. It's
it is.
easy that you can travel with.
Yep, yep,
Um,
very easy.
so you mostly do solo travel.
Hmm.
So what advice would you give to someone that is not um they got to have, I got to do the group thing because I'm if I can't even go to I don't like even going to dinner by myself, let alone traveling.
Oh,
What 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 could you tell someone to get that experience to try
okay.
to jump out to solo?
Yeah. So I do all levels of travel. I'm a solo traveler just because of, by nature. I'm not married, I'm a travel advisor. So I go, I travel by myself a lot. But I do groups and I do everything. I can put anything together. But what I would suggest for someone who hasn't done a solo trip and maybe wants to do it or get the courage to do it is to take yourself out in your own city first. That's where you start. Dinner, movies, maybe visiting a different neighborhood that you haven't been to. And then you start branching out a little bit, staying in the city over, or the town over. You just work your way out, branch out. Then you maybe go to a different state. People really don't put enough emphasis, I think, on domestic travel. I think, um, this is our country. We love and hate it. But there's still some beautiful, beautiful places in America to see, you know. Um, And I think that you start small. Like I said, take yourself out to eat. And if you're nervous about that, take a book. Take your phone, be thumbing through your TikTok or whatever. Just, kind of zone out. I think that once people do it, they realize that it's a lot of that going on anyway. You know, I'm in Richmond, Virginia, so you might not see it as much as someplace like New York, but it still happens.
Mhm.
I'm not a person who's just going to stay in the house all day because I don't have anybody to go with me. That's just not a thing to me. And if I do feel lonely when I'm by myself on a solo trip, it's easy for me to like make friends. Some people say, "Oh, I don't like small talk. I don't like this." I'm like, I love small talk. That's how I get to know people. That's how I get my foot in there. And like, everybody's at the bar. I love a bar. I love a hotel bar. It's like one of my favorite places. I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh, what are you drinking? I'm saying, oh, that looks good. Or, something like that. You can strike up a conversation. I can strike up a conversation with anybody. And, just meet people that way. And if you're really worried about being on your own and being lonely, but I've never been lonely on a solo trip ever.
Mhm.
Never.
That's that's really good advice.
Yeah.
I never really thought about just going, exploring your own city first,
Yeah.
because there is stuff to do, and you
So
can do, and
much.
some free stuff that you
A
can do.
lot of free stuff or festivals, things like that. Just it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Or there most of our cities have some new type of restaurant opening all the time. Something like that, getting out and doing something like that. Or going to the next town over. It's so funny. I'm in Richmond now, but I was in the DMV for 8 years prior to coming back in June. And when I first got up there, I felt like I couldn't explore. I was nervous about being in a new place. And, I had an apartment. And then if I strayed too far away from it, I kind of felt like, oh, I shouldn't be over here. Oh, I didn't tell anybody I was going over here. No matter where it was, it just felt like foreign to me because I hadn't done it at all. But once I started branching out, meeting people in different areas of Northern Virginia, DC, and Maryland, I got a lot more comfortable with it. But that was just because I had to like ride around and see what was what. I had to learn the highways,
Yeah.
just those types of things, doing that. And you get more comfortable with it the more you do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
And
sounds good.
even for people who aren't ready to take that solo trip, you can travel and you can join a group. So I have access to suppliers who already have group trips planned. You just have to get on the trip, and you can go anywhere. There you could do solo women's trip, or they have some for older travelers, younger travelers, people who are couples. They have a group trip for pretty much everybody.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, even if you aren't ready to like, you can travel solo in a group if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That
Yeah.
sounds like something that I would, that sounds like
Right.
me.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay.
Thank you.
Um, so one thing that I know that has been kind of in debate. You
Mm.
remember the debate about um you'll buy Jordans, but you won't buy a passport. You have this and that and the other.
Yeah.
So what is your take on getting a passport, and especially now
Mm.
being in this
Ooh.
climate?
Yeah, in this
How
climate, like
important?
we are as we as black people, we gonna look good. We're gonna stunt, we're gonna buy things, we're gonna be flashy. Like that's just who we are as a people, right? And not like in a it's a real thing. You know what I mean? We want to look good and we fly like we kind of are the antithesis of style and what it means to be out to do all those things. And so yeah, we want to buy things, but maybe just buy one or two pair of Jordans, maybe even five, maybe not 25 pair of Jordans, you know. Um, and again, like I'm for the domestic travel. There are so many places that I still haven't seen in the United States yet, but with this climate, especially, I really encourage everyone to get a passport, get out and see somewhere different, because once you do, you'll learn how different we are from other people, yes, but also how similar we are to other
Mhm.
people. It's so funny, the things that we do, and um, just how we live our day to day. But it makes you a different person, it makes you a more well-rounded person to get out and do these things, have these experiences. And those are the things that, to me, at this age, make more sense to me. Things are nice, but I like to spend my money on experiences because that's something I'll never forget.
Right.
That's a time that some of these things are once in a lifetime type of adventures. That's just me. Like, I ain't gonna shit on my friends for buying Jordans. I'm not gonna do that. But I would encourage them to get a passport and to see some of the world.
Mhm.
Because my whole thing with SmithBrown Signature Travel is that I think that we deserve to be anywhere we want to be. You know,
Okay.
we deserve it, and we should try to see it if we want to. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So let's go ahead and talk about some destinations.
Okay.
So where will we be going? Where will we be going first?
Well, first we're going to go to Europe and the UK. UK, Europe, it's all the same. But yeah. So, London well, Europe has the best beer, they say. That's what they say. I don't know. I don't, our craft beers haven't gotten up to the level of like Oktoberfest and things like that yet.
Mhm.
But we coming out. American craft beer is doing its thing. But yeah, so London has a few. I did jot down a few festivals that are like really popular festivals. Maybe your viewers and listeners have heard of some of these, so hopefully, I'm not being too redundant. But the Great British Beer Festival,
Oh,
that's in London, and it happens in early August. And then there's all types of national winter ale festivals that happen in mid-February in London also. Um, and then, going over to Germany,
of
Oktoberfest is the
course.
biggest one. And
Mhm.
Oktoberfest runs from late September to early October. But I don't know. There's a few others in Germany, of course, but then there's another one. Well, Oktoberfest is in Munich, and then there's another in uh, Stuttgart, Germany. It's the Cons Constas. I can't even pronounce it. Constantin Wasson. I hope that I pronounced that right. These German names kill me. But that one runs kind of in relation to Oktoberfest. So my thing is plan a whole trip. Let's we going beer tasting for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. You know what I'm saying? We doing this whole thing where we start in London, then we move over to Germany for Oktoberfest, then we go to Stuttgart, Germany, and do their festival there. Those things, and then you can move on to uh, Belgium. Belgium has
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful beers. I was able to experience a lot of beers in Belgium myself in March. It was a beautiful place. Like, just the architecture, like, of the UK and Europe period. We don't have anything. They have so much old stuff. And in the grand scheme of things, America is still a really, really young country. So we don't have
Mhm.
anything that old. Like, the churches and just the buildings, like, everything is so neat, and especially if you like things like that. But also they have beautiful just natural landscape too, rolling hills and mountains and just all types of things. Like, I went on a river cruise, and I saw castles, like something that
Yes.
that was amazing to me. It was so amazing. It was something I never been a part of before. And I think sometimes I think that, Black people don't want to see stuff like that, but I'm Black and I want to see stuff like that. Even though it's not really a part of our history, or they will tell you that it's not really a part of our history, we're still people. We still like stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
yeah, but There's a big one in Belgium. It's the Belgian Beer Weekend. It's in September. It's in early September. And so, like, I feel like you can easily make a whole trip of Europe and UK of just beer hopping. The train system that they have there is amazing, and you can get to these places really easily. And I know I talk about luxury a lot, but you can get a lot more for your money as far as like the stay. You know, if you're staying at maybe smaller hotels or B&Bs, beautiful, beautiful places that you have these once in a lifetime experiences at.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think that's one of the best places to go. And I think if you want to do like if you want to do a group trip, if you want to do a longer trip, then UK is the place to do it. UK and Europe is the place to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think as far as like, um, okay, I'll be okay in London, but when
Mm-hmm.
I go to Belgium,
Mm-hmm.
as far as language,
You'll
and
be
I
fine.
don't want to, I'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine because they at Belgium they speak. I guess it's German and they probably speak a bunch of different things. And I don't want to sound too silly to guess all of the languages that they speak. But that's another thing about people in the UK and Europe. Mostly people speak. I would say at least three languages. They're going to
Okay.
speak their native language. They're going to speak any kind of local dialects or, something like that. So it may be like they have a village language, then they have the greater language of wherever they are. And then they all speak English. They don't all speak English, of course, but
Right, but
you won't have any
no.
issues in Belgium getting
Mhm.
around. You won't have any issues in Vienna, Austria. You will not have any issues getting around in Austria speaking English. London, of course, you won't. Germany, I don't think you'll have any issues. A lot of people speak German, but also that's where I come in to play because I will hook you up with tour guides who speak English. That's something
Yes.
that we can prepare for already. If it's a place that you would rather have someone all the time who speaks English, if you worried about that, we can find you a tour guide, private tour guide. You could have several tour guides if you want to do a tour. We can have one person here, another person there, another person there, and we can link them all up to where they know what you've already been, what you already done, and what you like, and we can continue from there. So if
Okay.
you're really worried about it, we can absolutely hook you up with tour guides.
Okay.
Hmm.
Very good. All
Yeah,
right. So Germany, Belgium,
Germany,
and
Belgium, Czech Republic. Like when you're getting more, towards the Eastern European, Czech Republic, Prague. Prague is a big, big beer city. And not a ton of Black people there. More Black people are going and visiting Prague. That's somewhere where I think you would still be okay with English, but somewhere where you might really want to have an English speaking tour guide with you. But they have a Pilsner Fest. And I remember
mhm.
you were just talking about Pilsners. They have a Pilsner Fest and that's what it's called. Well, it's called the Xenos something. I can't pronounce it. I don't want to sound like a fool. But it happens in
Well,
early October. So again, if you wanted to, do a beer tour that included Oktoberfest, you could include Prague easily because the train network there is just amazing. So
wow.
yeah, absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
I remember when I was talking about some travel, I was mentioning train travel.
Hmm.
Have you experienced that or um know some details, someone who wants to experience traveling by train,
Oh
or
yeah.
where is a good place to do it, where you can
Hmm.
get really nice scenics?
Okay. Well, I mean, if you want to do one here, there's one that takes you from the East Coast to the West Coast, Amtrak, and you can see some beautiful, beautiful, scenery there if you want to do that. But in Europe, it's just so easy to get around. I haven't done any overnight train trips yet. I am excited to do some of those, and you can do it as cheaply as oh, I just want to see, I want to just be able to see things, or you could get a room with a bed, or you could take a very fancy trip that has a huge bed, a huge bathroom, and things like that. It just all depends on what you place value on. You place
Okay.
value more so on the experiences that you have, like the tours and stuff, or do you place more value on where you lay your head? Do you want to have a hotel with a spa? Things like that. But
Mhm.
the train is exactly the same. You can go and you can take a 2-hour train ride from London to Amsterdam, or I don't think the train ride from London to Paris is as, it might be 2 hours, it might be an hour and 45, something like that, but it's so easy. It's just so easy. And it's really easy for me to set you up with a trip like that too, because I have suppliers who book rail, who book hotels, and who book tours all together. And you could do it, with one price,
Mhm.
one package. A package is what I'm saying. So yeah, I want to do it. I think that the best place to start, Angie, is Europe. If you want to do it,
Mhm.
Germany would be a great place to start. London would be a great place to start. Amsterdam would be a great place to start. Belgium would, these places would be great places to start, because you can do a whole tour. I have
Mhm.
a supplier who has so many different routes of things, if whatever you want to do, or you can make up your own route, and I can help you do that too.
Mhm. Yeah, I recall I won a trip to Paris and
Okay.
we
I
did
remember
the
telling me
train.
about that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we did the train to London because I always wanted to go to Harrods. I was like, I
Okay.
gotta go to Harrods.
Yeah.
So I went there. We took the train. It was pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it didn't seem like it was a long time, and we
Yeah.
just toured. We were just there for a day.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
It's so easy to get around London. It's like,
mhm.
I mean, especially now we have Google Maps and everything. Even I think
Yeah.
Waze might have an app, that they tell you which bus to get on. If you're in Amsterdam, it tells you which tram to get on. Like, they have all the directions there for you. So
Mhm.
it's much easier now to travel around, especially by yourself, and kind of figure out, like, what's going on.
Let me ask you about money.
Okay.
And I mean, as far as, okay, my parents' generation and my generation, like way early, we did traveler's checks.
Okay.
So I don't think they do that anymore.
No.
So basically people just having your credit card. What
Hmm.
is, to be safe and make sure that you have your money.
Yeah.
Uh, what are some
Well,
tips?
tips, like, of course, like, everyone still takes cash. So I suggest that if you're going to take cash, that you do your money exchange when you're in your destination. It's going to be cheaper than doing it in the airport. Even in the airport, when you get there, it's going to be cheaper getting it outside of the
Mhm.
airport. If you want to do cash, they all take cash. In Europe and UK, they all take Apple Pay, or maybe even Google Pay. Oh yeah, even the bus you pay with your phone. They have an app that you download, is hooked up to your credit card, and you just pay with your phone. That's what I'm saying. It's just so easy. Europe is so easy because you don't even have to worry about that. I would suggest you use a credit card that has no currency exchange fees. I would suggest you use a card that has high points, for travel and stuff like that. Um, but if you have to use your debit card, you have to hook your debit card up to it. Make sure it's a bank that doesn't charge you the um, the the currency exchange fees. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, cash. But definitely, everyone takes the. When I was in Amsterdam, to get on the tram, to get on the train, or whatever, you just hit your phone. That's it. You can
Okay.
go.
Okay.
Very easy.
Um, that's pretty cool. I would always get the currency before I
Hmm.
left home.
Oh no,
Um,
America's rates are the worst.
so I was like, let me just go ahead and just get some over here because I don't know. I don't know, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can, of course, you could take your cash out here if you want, because it might be
Mm,
even again, a fee, to change over from your bank. You could take your cash out while you're here. I don't suggest you travel with a ton of cash,
right.
but then, you exchange it when you get there too. I've done that and it's been fine. But
Yeah.
and look around, don't go to the first place that you see because you're going to inevitably find somewhere that's cheaper and you're going to be kicking yourself, at the exchange rate. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, where else will we be going? Anywhere else?
Vietnam, Hanoi. They have an Oktoberfest, the GBA Oktoberfest. That one runs late September to early October too, so around the same time as Oktoberfest. But this is a totally different backdrop, of course, than Europe is. You're in Vietnam. You're in a tropical, place. It's humid and it's just different. It has a lot of still American history. Unfortunately, because of the Vietnam War, but that's a reason that beer is really big and popular there. That's one of the reasons. Because of the Vietnam War and the kind of customs and stuff that we have left there. Um, but the GBA Oktoberfest is late September to early October. So I have no idea how people want to travel. Everyone wants to travel differently. Some people say, I want to take a month off and I want to go here, 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 and here, you know, or you could just do maybe a Southeast Asian tour where you do, hit some of those islands. And Vietnam is one of your places, though, because I love beer. They have a bunch of a big craft scene beer in Vietnam, but it's just a totally different backdrop, and that's somewhere what I would definitely suggest you hook up with an English speaking tour guide because I don't know anything about Vietnamese. I don't know anything about it,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I think it could be a really fun place, especially with the food scene that they have there, and the beer scene. I think it would be a lot of fun to do like a group trip there. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, absolutely. That's as far as beer goes. Those are the places I think are great.
Yeah, I could see a group trip for that, going
Hmm.
to Vietnam
Hmm.
and having that experience being so close because I think you can still kind of do some island hopping.
Yeah, you can. It's
Yeah,
easy. It's easy and it's cheap. It's a lot cheaper to, even in Europe. It's much cheaper to hop over from place to place in in country, but also in, I guess, just the same area. I don't really know, like, continent, if that's what they
yeah,
call it. I don't know, but it's much cheaper. It's much cheaper, and I think that would be an awesome experience. And I don't know, maybe we could talk about something like that, putting it together for being Black and Craft. I think that would be amazing.
that'd be cool. Okay,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
So what else do you have for us?
What else? So that's what I have for beer. Of course, there are so many other places that have beer that we can, explore. Wherever you want to go, I can send you. If you want to go to Timbuktu or if you want to go to Patagonia, I can send you there. But of course, rum is my favorite. So if you want to do rum
Mm,
tours um, on the island of um, gosh, let me get in a brain. Uh, Dominica, the island of Dominica is one.
Dominica.
Yeah, you've been to Dominica, right?
Yes,
Okay,
365
waterfalls.
waterfalls.
Yeah,
Yes.
365 waterfalls, a waterfall for every day, and then one. So I think they have 366. But they do a lot of rum and a lot of bush rum. So they will have the rum, cinnamon rum, and just like all these different types of rum. And this is one of the most unspoiled places in the Caribbean because they don't have the all inclusives. They don't have, the huge hotels and these things. They have some things coming now, but you can still have a real local and immersive and genuine experience in a place like Dominica. If
Mhm.
you're person who likes to hike, if you're, an adventure person, if you like to snorkel, it's like one of the best places to snorkel. So these are things that you can do in tandem with rum tasting, if you're there for spirits, if you want to do something like while you're there. And then, of course, France is one of the best places for wine. And of course, Champagne, France is where you're going to go to find the champagne. So if you love bubbles, you can start in Paris and then you can take a day trip to Champagne, or you can spend your whole time in Champagne, or you can take a river cruise, down.
Mm,
Or a river cruise that starts one place and ends in another, and all along the way you'll be sampling wines from that region. It's like
mm,
the sky is the limit when it comes to these things. Whatever your spirit, beer, your choice, wine, whatever it is, there's an itinerary for you. And if there's not one for you, I can help you craft one. We can craft one for you. But that's a big one that I want to do. I know the ladies over at Bad and Boozy. I really want them to do a wine cruise, like a river cruise with wine.
that would be
So
cool.
it would be so amazing. It would be so amazing. But also Argentina is a huge wine place, so you can do South America.
Yes.
Um, I don't know what the beer scene is like in South America, but I can find out. Just whatever you want to do. Like I said about whiskey, you can do Scotland. You can do all of these things. Um, I think that if I were to do something, I think I would want to do a little bit of kind of everything. I would want to do a spirit, wine, and a beer thing. So I think the easiest way to do that is to start UK, Europe, and you can do a little tasting here and there and everywhere.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a little bit of column A, column B, and a touch of column C is perfect.
Yes, I think
Yes.
so too. All while experiencing these things. So like if you wanted to do a wine tour and bubbles tour in France, there's also you can do a Black Paris tour, where I'm gonna try to help you find a Black experience anywhere I send you, because another part of SmithBrown Signature Travel is connecting you with the diaspora. That's just something that's really important to me, and something that's really like close to my heart is, when we were on Clubhouse meeting Black people from London. And so when I went to London, I had a complete different experience than someone, who didn't know anyone there. I had a Black London experience, you know what I'm saying? And it was
Mm-hmm.
amazing. I went to Black pubs, they have Black pubs, and it was so funny just conversing with
Mm.
the people there. It was so funny getting free drinks just because of my accent, things like that. I'm a little country, so I know, but it's so funny, and just striking up conversations with like the bartenders, and they're like, "Oh, you're from the U.S. I've always wanted to go there." I was like, "Well, what's stopping you?" Like, "I don't want to get shot by the police." I'm like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, it does happen, absolutely, and
Yeah,
it
it's
happens
like it's a
far
real
too much.
thing.
It's a
Yeah.
real thing, but it's something like it's crazy that
Immediate. Yeah.
that's their immediate thought of America.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad. It's very, very sad. But someone said that to me, and I was like, "Wow, that's insane. That's your first thought, that you don't want to come because you don't want to get shot by the police." And he was serious. It was, you know what I mean? He was
Yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "It does happen, and it happens far too often, but it's not exactly like how you think it is." But
Mm-hmm.
he wouldn't know because he hasn't been here and he hasn't had
Right.
that, you
He
know.
only sees what media shows him.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I do
Mm-hmm.
think that it's important for us to get out and to have these conversations and these experiences with people who look like us. We all share a background, right? Where, his people ended up in London. I'm not sure how, but he was either African, he was African, and either his people by slavery were taken to the Caribbean, or maybe his family, just migrated from Africa. I have no idea, but we all have a shared history. I
Yes.
think a lot of times we fight and argue about the things that make us different, who started what, things like that. And I think it's really silly because it's keeping us further apart from each other. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Well, um, I don't want I think I have that was all of my questions that I have for you.
Okay.
But was there any other highlights that you wanted to mention before we
Yeah.
leave?
Absolutely. I would like to tell a little bit like about my process, and
Yes.
how I do things. And people come to me all different types of ways. They've seen my Instagram page. I have some Facebook because no one's really over there. My web page and stuff like that. But a lot of it is word of mouth. And people come to me and basically we'll have like a 15-minute conversation. We'll set up an appointment. We'll have a 15-minute conversation about where you want to go, what you have in mind, and things like that. And I charge a fee because research is a lot. I don't know everything. I haven't been everywhere. And for me to research these things and to make um, a, a you know a special and tailored itinerary for you, it's going to take time and research and stuff like that. And that's how I get paid.
Curated, yeah.
Curated, exactly. And it can take hours, so I do charge a fee. Once you've paid my fee, I go ahead and start um, building your itinerary. And then I come back to you and I present it. And you can say, I hate all of that. I hate all of that. And we can start over. Or you can say, I love this. I don't like this, but oh, I thought about this. We can add whatever you want to add to. So it's not like you come to me and I give you something and that's it. It's not that. I give you an itinerary. I'm going to help you. I'm going to book everything for you. So you give me your credit card and information. I do flights, I do train, hotels, boats, like river cruises, but I also do the big ocean liners. I do everything. And then while you're gone and out of the country, you have my support too. So while you're traveling, you're going to be, if you have issues, you're going to be able to call and say, this happened, or I need this. And if you don't have me to talk to, you're going to have someone in destination to talk to about any issues that may arise. So that's why you use a travel advisor. It's not just because um, we know we are experts, right? And I have a whole team of colleagues and vetted suppliers who I can go to and help build this itinerary, but we're also going to take great care of you. And I think that that's one of the biggest things. I think Black people are a little bit afraid to travel the world because we don't always know how we'll be received, when we get there.
Mm.
I've never had an issue, and anytime I've been traveling, when I see any Black people, they definitely give me a nod or a wink. I don't care whatever. Belgium was like one of the places I saw so many Black men, and they were, what's up, hey sis. People take care of you. So I don't think we should be
Mm.
as worried about those things. And then the world is so big, we can make our own spaces in these places, and I think we should spread out some. Especially in this climate with this country, we aren't feeling the love. I'm not feeling the love, I guess. I will go ahead and say that. But yeah, so I'll curate everything for you. I'll book everything for you while you're traveling. I'll be support for you here, and you will have in destination support as well. So hit me up if you want to travel, if you want to go somewhere, just let me know.
Though it made me think about one thing,
Uh-huh.
a question, traveler's insurance.
Oh, that's huge. That's something I'm always going to suggest. I'm never not going to suggest travel insurance, whether you get travel. Some people don't think travel insurance to protect your investment is important, but I think it is because there are some things when you work with suppliers that are just non-refundable. That's just what it is. And that's where travel insurance falls into the gap to pay for those non-refundable items. But also, which to me is the even bigger part, is that travel insurance is going to take care of you if something happens to you physically. It's going to provide medical coverage for you. And you want to have medical coverage wherever you are because you never know what will happen. Unfortunately, some people go on vacation and they don't really make it back. You never know what happens, but travel insurance will even pay for your remains to be sent back home. You don't want to be traveling and be caught out here with no insurance and God forbid something happens to you, you can't get back home. Even something as small as your flight being canceled. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Whoever you're flying should pay for your room. But if they don't pay for your room, you have to come out of pocket. That's something you can file on travel insurance. So that's always part of my package. Like, you don't have to. I can't make you purchase travel insurance, but I'm going to offer it to you. Absolutely. And I can
Yeah.
quote it for you and everything.
And it's really not, I mean, I guess it varies depending on how much the cost of the trip is
Yeah.
as far as
hmm
how
Yes,
okay.
and your age. Your age plays a
Oh.
big part into, yeah, absolutely, because someone that's your age, Angie, is not gonna pay it as much as someone who's 80. And there's a lot of 80-year-olds out here traveling, but because of the medical piece, it's gonna cost a lot more money for someone in their upper years to travel than it is for you, you know?
Mhm.
So, but yeah, but I think it's always worth it. Even if you can't get like canceled for any reason, usually when you plan a trip and you put down your deposit, that's another thing I want to talk about, and I'll come back to it. But when you want to talk about your deposit, um, excuse me, you put down your deposit, and depending on the insurance supplier, if you want cancel for any reason insurance, you have to pay for it, the full policy, within 14 or 21 days of your first deposit. But even if you can't make that payment right away and say that, you want to, you can buy travel insurance up until the day before you leave. You can, if you don't have it now, it just won't you won't be able to cancel for any reason, but you'll still be protected. And then they also have travel insurance where it's like, when what I have is an annual policy. Paid, I think, $100 for my annual policy, and my medical is covered wherever I go for an entire year. If I want to add my trip to it, then you go and you add, and of course it's an additional price, but my medical has been covered for a year for $99 or something like that.
Mhm. Okay.
And that was one thing I wanted to come back to. I think that people think that even when you travel, when you take trips, you have to pay out of pocket for everything all up front. And that's not what's happening. Even when rich people travel, they don't put all their money down at once, especially if you're planning a trip. And you know, trips can be planned out years in advance, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years in advance, depending on what type of trip it is. That you want to taste wine in South Africa and you want to do a safari, while you're there. Safaris are very expensive, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means that maybe you start planning in advance for it and you make payments on it. And that's what rich people are doing too. They're making payments. They might put down their deposit, and they might be able to pay it off like 60 to 30 days before they leave in a lump sum because they have the money, but they are not going to give you their cash that could be making the money in the bank 2 years in advance. You know what I mean? So they doing layaway too. You know what I'm saying? And I want to stress that to our people, is that you don't have to pay for it all up front, usually, just depending on how soon you want to travel. If you want to travel in 3 months, be prepared to pay it all. 6 months, be prepared. 9 months, maybe be prepared to pay it all. But if you're 12 months out, 18 months out, 2 years out, a deposit, and then you make payments as you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that truly makes me think about, because I have two trips planned, and I thought about the um the insurance,
Mhm, mhm.
as far as like and getting insurance, or getting the option that you said about the $100
Medical.
to cover you for the year.
Yeah, mhm.
Um, so that's really good to know about
Yeah,
that. And definitely, you know, laying away my trip is
yeah.
definitely something that
That's the
just
thing.
gotta do.
I lay away my own trips. You know, these things they cost money. And but because it's important for me to travel in comfort, you know what I mean? A lot of times we're paying for comfort, we're paying for services and things like that to so we won't be so stressed out. I'm fine with that. I don't mind paying for comfort. You know what I mean? Because you're already travel can already be kind of laborious, especially if you don't enjoy the airplanes and the train stations and stuff like that. You like being in your destination. Why not make it as easy as possible for yourself? You know, by having someone else plan it first, but also having someone you know making sure you're covered. You don't have to worry about, oh, what if I get sick, oh, what if this happens, and things. You know, you're protected, and your money's protected if you decide that your trip is protected. You know, if you want to protect your trip, that's protected too if you decide so
Yeah,
yeah, lay away that trip. Don't let money be the reason that you don't take a trip.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jessica, with Smith Brown Signature Travel.
Thank
Make
you,
sure you hit
Nancy.
her up. And
Yes,
thank
thank you
you
for
so
having me.
I appreciate it. You've gave a lot of information um, in places that I really didn't think about.
Hmm.
A couple of places that I didn't think about that had festivals that I wouldn't
Hmm.
mind checking out. When I after I get through this year, maybe for 2026, maybe I can lay away me a Vietnam trip.
That's right. And so we start planning it right now, you know, just
Right.
depending on when you want to go. So yeah, hit me up. You can reach me at on Instagram at smithbrowntravel dot not dot com, but at smithbrown travel. And my website is smithbrowntravel.com.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. And we're going to go ahead and get on out of here.